Rick Mast as a pick. 20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. Dale Earnhardt will come to the caution flag to win the Daytona 500. Finally, everyone, if their favorite driver couldn't win the Daytona 500, they wanted to see this man drive to victory lane.
You pull up for the check of the spoiler. One of the NASCAR officials crawls underneath the car.
NASCAR. On the surface, it's the largest, most popular form of auto racing in America, with a ferociously loyal fan base that's ever expanding. This can't be true though once you see the drop TV ratings and other tumultuous problems going on underneath the glossy veneer of what big corporation advertising wants you to see. From advertisement oversaturation to a generational gap, these are 8 reasons why NASCAR is dead. Generational gap. NASCAR is hungry for young fans, making it known by picking up Monster energy drinks as the series sponsor. Because for some reason the Millennial and Gen Y crowd associate energy drinks with auto racing. What? Series-style racing just isn't as popular with young fans anymore, as opposed to autocross, track days, and drifting. These forms of motorsports are not only more accessible and more affordable, and therefore more relatable for younger racing enthusiasts. While not all, but most enthusiasts you ask about NASCAR under the age of 20 just associate it with cars going around in circles. NASCAR has realized this for decades, hence why they put so much emphasis on their young drivers. Young guns.
Mach 3 Turbo Champion, the only razor used by the Gillette Young.
See the marketing ploy there? Social climate change. Being politically correct in consumer relations is a must for any corporate entity in these highly emotionally charged political times. Arguably, the biggest of these issues is the treatment and fairness to minorities and women. NASCAR got with the program, albeit a little late, by pushing Danica Patrick to the pole of the 2013 Daytona 500. And more recently, the pushing of Bubba Wallace, the first full-time African-American driver since 1971. That 1971 driver was a man named Wendell Scott, who won dozens of races and wasn't even recognized for all of them due to the racially charged times. Even though NASCAR did eventually put him in the Hall of Fame in 2015, Wendell Scott's story could potentially keep away minorities from a sport that's dominated by white males, as the damage has already been done. Oh, and Wendell Scott's story? It's a fascinating one. I'll leave a few links in the description below if you want to know more. Sell on Monday. The old adage of win on Sunday, sell on Monday that auto manufacturers have atoned to for decades is dying out along with the sedans they're trying to sell. Trucks and SUV sales have surpassed car sales, and manufacturers like Ford are dropping the majority of their cars. In Ford's lineup, however, the Mustang will race in NASCAR as it has for a few years in the Nationwide Series, or Busch Series, or oh god, whatever they're calling it nowadays. The question is though, how long can this go on? If the goal is to sell cars and no one is buying them, what will NASCAR do in the future? A SUV crossover racing series doesn't sound appealing at all, but it kind of sounds like something NASCAR would do.
That's the worst racing I've seen at Daytona in a long, long time. They took NASCAR West Cup racing and made it some of the sorriest racing, and took the racing out of the drivers and the crew's hands. We can't adjust, we can't make our cars drive like we want. They just killed the race at Daytona. That's all I got to say.
One trick pony. Even back in the 80s and 90s, NASCAR fans wanted more road courses to break up a long racing season full of monotonous circle tracks. Instead, NASCAR decided to build cookie-cutter racetracks in the middle of nowhere, places like Vegas, Chicago, and Kansas, to reach an audience that was out of the South. This move helped seal the fate of the organization, not only alienating its core Southern fan base, but making it look like they raced at the same track most weekends. To make matters worse, these mile-and-a-half tracks are usually dominated by the same drivers, adding to the monotony. While the race at Watkins Glen is usually good, the Sonoma race is most often a high-speed parade snooze fest. The Nationwide Series, or whatever the hell it's called now, has raced road courses like Mid-Ohio for a few years, and the races are hits. But NASCAR can't be bothered from going around in circles enough to notice. The silence of the drivers. Big personalities have always been a trademark in NASCAR. Whether it was Tony Stewart's rebellious on-air comments,
"That's the most pathetic racing tire I've ever been on in my professional career. They just pull out of this sport and save us all a bunch of headaches, because I guarantee you Hoosier or Firestone or somebody can come in and do a lot better job than what they're doing right now."
or Darrell Waltrip's expert trash talking,
Well, but listen, you got to understand something. All I hear is, "Oh, Earnhardt, he can see the win." Now, you know you're a smart man. Ain't nobody can see the win.
the on-track personalities were as big and likable as the races themselves. The drivers have always been the face of NASCAR. In the last decade, though, these drivers have been tamed by NASCAR to be more TV-friendly and marketable, and while they have achieved the TV-friendly part, the marketability for muted drivers is as limited as the things they're allowed to say and do, making it even harder to tell them apart in casual fans' eyes. Kevin Harvick was amongst the most flamboyantly noticeable drivers with regular temper tantrums, earning him the nickname Happy Harvick. But when's the last time you heard him call Happy Harvick? Now, when's the last time he did anything to live up to his nickname? Consistency no more. In an interview that I just can't find at the end of the 2015 season, Joey Logano said it all, and that the NASCAR point system doesn't reward consistency anymore. And he was right. In 2004, in a bold move, NASCAR changed their point structure to the now famous Chase for the Cup. That year, with the new system, Kurt Busch won the championship, and he wasn't a very popular driver at the time, causing many fans who hated him, which were a lot, to hate the system. The system, however, worked well for a few years, before becoming seemingly more convoluted than the qualifying for the Daytona 500. NASCAR, in an attempt to keep things fresh for their TV audience, just keeps moving the goalpost to the point where fans don't even understand the system anymore. In turn, not only alienating more fans, but also alienating what got those drivers there to NASCAR in the first place, which is consistency. But it makes sparks fly on the racetrack, which leads us to the next big problem. Psst, hey, wanna know a secret? People love to see cars crash. The only thing your casual race fan wants more to see than a great race is a great crash. And the modern NASCAR races have crashes in spades. Sure, the safety technology has come a long way, what with soft walls, Hans devices, and roof flaps, greatly reducing the risk of injury or death to a driver. But instead of NASCAR using these tools to make better, faster racing, it seems they are exploiting them to cause more crashes without losing drivers' lives to boost TV ratings. The high-pressure point system to win as many races as possible is only adding to the problem, leading to more and more competitors to try desperate moves in a checkers or wreckers philosophy. While the big one at Daytona and Talladega cost teams millions in bent sheet metal and broken dreams, cautions are just an excuse to NASCAR to make more money and run more commercials. And while the commercial run times during races is another problem to be discussed another day, the point is that while crashes, yes, they're a part of racing, they certainly aren't meant to be the focus. The Days of Thunder crashing focus on today's NASCAR races have become a joke in other genres of racing. The chase to the NFL. It wasn't until the 90s that NASCAR bested a lot of the traditional stick and ball sports like Major League Baseball and the NBA in TV ratings. The juggernaut they could never touch, though, was the NFL. Media outside of the NFL that's not sports related can rarely compete with it. Now, last year's Super Bowl alone had an estimated 111 million people watching, and that's with declined ratings. You just can't compete with that. NASCAR, however, hasn't gotten that all-important message. In an effort to keep up with the NFL ratings, they have caused themselves most of the other problems on this list. Breaking the races up in segments, like their quarters, calling the chase the playoffs, is just NASCAR trying to emulate the NFL and other stick and ball sports in an attempt to keep up with their ratings. Most of your traditional NASCAR fans, however, don't have a very large interest in stick and ball sports. I mean, it's not absent, but because of all that, I mean, that's the reason they watch NASCAR in the first place, is because they're not so much into the stick and ball sports. Again, alienating fans that wanted to watch racing, not a race disguised as a football game. Head of NASCAR Brian France saw the hit the NFL was taking in the ratings due to the kneeling controversy, and made it known immediately to all the teams in NASCAR that anyone kneeling during the anthem would immediately be out of NASCAR. Now, the kneeling controversy, right or wrong, is a discussion for another time. However, it's no secret that the NFL TV ratings have dropped because of it. And Brian France, well, he thinks he smells blood. In reality, though, even with the drop in ratings, the NFL isn't something that's going to be toppled in TV land ratings for a long, long time. But Brian France still seems content on running NASCAR into the ground, trying to keep up. If you're a longtime NASCAR fan, then watching it today is like watching an old friend die an excruciatingly slow death. What with the circus it's become, the half-empty grandstands, and more cautions than ever need be in motorsport. What's ironic about all this is that NASCAR's constantly reminding us of how awesome it used to be. From its humble moonshining roots to the fight between Yarborough and Allison on the first televised Daytona 500, NASCAR desperately attempts to retain its long-term audience with nostalgia, yet abandons these roots in how it's operated today. After losing longtime sponsors like Target, Brian France in the beginning of 2018 announced that NASCAR might be for sale soon, signifying that he would rather dump it than fix the problems that he has caused, and that's why NASCAR is as good as dead. I try to keep all my points short to keep the runtime of the video down, but did you have anything to add? Light up that comment section and tell me what you think. I really want to hear what you have to say about this. I would love to delve into this more and how NASCAR has killed other auto racing in the States in another video, if this one does well enough. So hit the like button and share it with your friends. Most off, support the channel by hitting that subscribe button and clicking the bell icon to become part of that notification squad. And remember, friends, they're the family you get to choose. I'll see you next week, fellow cruisers.